the studio with me is the Chief Executive of the AFL, Andrew Demetriou. Good morning.
Good morning, Neil.
Well, you said several things publicly, but there was a deal. What was it?
Well, no, I don't actually share your intro, and there's some things in there that are factually incorrect.
Yep. Well, we'll get to that. But what was the deal?
Well, there's no deal, Neil. The deal was what was announced on the day, which we made very public. And I think if you go back to the 2 days of the commission hearing, there were negotiations going on in a flurry in those 2 days. If you remember, there was actually vision of people walking in and out of meetings, and all the media camped outside. So there were ongoing negotiations. But as you know, the outcome was the most severe penalties in AFL history.
But we didn't know James Hird was on full pay.
But he's not on full pay.
What's he on? What's the deal? What's the deal?
Well, Neil, I'm going to make it very clear. The sanction to James Hird is 12 months suspension, is suspension without pay. So it is incorrect that he's being paid by the Essendon Football Club. He's not allowed to be paid. So I want to make that very clear.
So he's not being paid anything by anybody?
I have no knowledge of what he's being paid outside of the Essendon Football Club, but he's not permitted to be paid by the Essendon Football Club. That is a fact.
Is his MBA being partly funded in France?
I have no idea, Neil.
Do you want to know?
No, I mean, I don't want to know, because, I mean, for example, he's working with the AFL Coaches Association, as I understand, and they're supporting him in this next 12-month period, and I think part of that is a contribution which every coach does get to some form of study. I don't even know what amount that is. I'm not privy to that amount, but
you were very concerned, weren't you, that he shouldn't be paid? You made that clear at the time. Even during the negotiations, you made that clear.
He's not being paid now. I can categorically tell you that part of the sanction from the AFL is that he is suspended without pay from the Essendon Football Club. That is a fact.
But this is entirely irrelevant. If a deal has been done somewhere else, Essendon won't pay you, we will. You can get your full pay, the equivalent of full pay. That's another matter.
Well, let's be clear. These are suggestions put forward in the articles today, much of which is incorrect. So the first point I want to make is that there was no deal done, there were no inducements offered by the AFL for James Hird to reach an agreement. The agreement was reached on the day of the commission hearing. That's what was announced.
What about the meetings at Gillon McLaughlin's home on the 23rd? What were they about?
They were meetings that were held prior to the commission meeting to try and, again, in the hustle and bustle of trying to organise some discussions around where this could go. He had the authority from the AFL, because the commission, myself, all of the commission were not permitted under the process. We had no predetermined outcome, but he was given the authority to negotiate on the AFL's behalf with the Essendon Football Club, as he was doing with Paul Little, that is, he was doing with James Hird.
Okay, well, he's negotiating it. You weren't there.
No.
So he's got the authority to negotiate a deal with Essendon.
And James Hird.
And is part of that deal that James Hird drops his legal action?
No. No. To the best
so what are they actually dealing on then? What are they talking
about?
Well,
I don't know, Neil. I'm not privy. I mean, all I can say to you is, in response to this particular article, it is absolutely true that Paul Little, and he's made this statement yesterday, approached John Wiley, who's a friend of his, to act as an intermediary to try and reach some sort of breakthrough.
But there's no deal and nothing's on the table. What in the hell are they meeting about? What are they sitting down discussing?
Oh, I think they were discussing what may or may not happen. Where will this go? What sorts of sanctions do you think that you're going to be?
They have to be dealing in those circumstances.
Neil, of course they're dealing. All I can say to you is I'm not privy, or the Commission's not privy to those deals. And the lawyers were talking at those times as well.